Welcome to English 7 Daily Podcast, the place where you improve your English every single day simply by listening.
Greetings, listeners. My name is Khalid, and I am a server at the Daily Grind Cafe. My day is woven from the steam of fresh coffee, the quiet hum of conversation, and the simple purpose of providing a moment of peace to every person who walks through our door. Allow me to walk you through a single, ordinary, yet wonderful day from my perspective behind the counter. My day begins in the sacred hush of the pre-dawn, long before the first car whispers down the street. The city is still holding its breath, wrapped in a blanket of cool, slate-blue silence. I fit the key into the lock of the Daily Grind Cafe, the metallic click sounding extraordinarily loud in the stillness. Pushing the door open, I am the first to break the seal on the day. The air inside is cool and still, yet it warmly embraces me with the deep, resonant aroma of yesterday's coffee beans, a scent like dark chocolate and rich earth that has settled into the very wood of the counters overnight. This hour is mine alone, a time of peaceful ritual. My first task is to awaken the space. I switch on the soft pendant lights above the bar, which cast a gentle golden pool onto the dark polished wood. Then I turn to the great clear glass jars lining the back wall. With a satisfying whoosh, I pour in the new beans, the bright fruity ones from Ethiopia, the smooth and chocolatey ones from Colombia. They tumble in like tiny aromatic stones. Next comes the first grind of the day. I measure the beans, pour them into the hopper, and press the button. The machine erupts with a glorious roaring crunch that shatters the silence, only to leave behind a richer, more profound quiet, now perfumed with the promise of what's to come. I move methodically, wiping down every surface until the countertops gleam, reflecting the soft light. I arrange the pastries in the glass case, the golden syrup-glazed baklava, the neat rows of mamoul date cookies, placing each one with care, turning the case into a gallery of morning delights. I fill the milk jugs, stack the clean white porcelain cups, and ensure every sugar bowl is full. This isn't just preparation, it's a form of meditation. With every wiped surface and neatly placed item, I am building a sanctuary. I am preparing a haven of order, warmth, and welcome, piece by piece, before the world outside stirs and comes calling. When the first sliver of sunlight finally touches the front window, the cafe is no longer just a room. It is ready, humming with quiet potential, a stage set for the day's stories to unfold. The peaceful sanctuary I've built doesn't stay quiet for long. The first signal is the gentle chime of the brass bell above the door as Mr. Fareed, the writer, enters with a soft nod, making a direct line for his favorite corner table, a notepad already in hand. But his quiet presence is merely the calm before a warm and welcoming storm. As the clock ticks toward the official start of the working day, the pace transforms completely. The door chime begins to ring in a constant, cheerful rhythm, ting-ting, ting, 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 a melody of arrival. Suddenly, the cafe is alive with a familiar, bustling energy. The queue at the counter forms, a tapestry of regulars with their set orders and new faces squinting at the menu board. "My usual large black coffee, Khalid, you're a savior," calls Mr. Jawad from the bank. A construction worker in a dusty vest asks for 2 strong espressos to go. A student requests an herbal tea, pointing shyly at the chamomile. I become a conductor of this morning symphony. My hands move on their own accord, a well-practiced dance between the grinder, the gleaming espresso machine, the steam wand that hisses like a contented dragon, and the ancient, reliable cash register that clinks with each transaction. The air grows dense and wonderfully fragrant. The sharp, energizing scent of freshly ground coffee blends with the sweet, buttery smell warming from the oven and the subtle aroma of steamed milk. Underneath it all is the steady hum of human connection. Snippets of conversation about traffic, plans for the day, and quick greetings exchanged between neighbors who only ever see each other here. My world narrows to a cycle of eye contact, a listening ear, a confirming nod, and the precise crafting of a drink. 2 sugars, light milk. Of course, brother. There is a beautiful, demanding rhythm in this rush, a focus on providing not just speed, but a moment of recognized normalcy and warmth for every person in line. Each paper cup or porcelain mug that leaves my hand is more than a beverage. It's a handoff of energy, a small fuel for the day ahead, delivered with a smile that I truly feel. After the tide of the morning rush recedes, a tranquil, sun-drenched lull settles over the cafe. The frantic energy dissipates, replaced by the soft rustle of newspaper pages and the quiet clink of a spoon in a cup. It is in one of these quiet pools of calm that I notice him, an elderly gentleman standing motionless before our large chalkboard menu. His reading glasses are perched on his nose, and a slight, uncertain furrow creases his brow as he silently mouths the words written there. The noisy confidence of the regulars is absent. He seems adrift in our world of Arabica and Robusta. I wipe my hands on my apron and approach slowly, not wanting to startle him. "A peaceful morning to you, sir. Can I help you navigate our offerings?" He looks up, and his eyes, a kind, watery blue, meet mine with relief. "A peaceful morning," he returns, his voice soft. "It is my first time here. It all looks wonderful, but I must admit I am a little overwhelmed." I smile, sensing not just a customer, but an opportunity for genuine hospitality. "Please," I say, gesturing to the counter, "let me explain." I become a storyteller of beans and traditions. I point to the Yemeni coffee, describing its bright, almost wine-like character. I gesture to the bags of beans from Brazil, explaining their nutty, smooth comfort. Then I see his eyes linger on the words, "Turkish coffee." "Ah," I say, my voice dropping to a more intimate tone, "that is a classic. That is not just a drink, it is a ceremony in a cup." His face brightens. "That is the one," he decides, with a firm nod that seems to settle his whole being. The preparation becomes a focused act of welcome. I measure the fine powder and cold water into the small, long-handled esve. I stir in just 1 sugar cube as he requested. As it heats gently on the burner, I watch it with him, both of us anticipating the moment when the dark foam, the kaymak, begins to rise perilously to the brim. I pour it just before it boils into a delicate white cup, ensuring the rich foam crowns the surface. When I place it carefully on a saucer before him at his table, along with a glass of cool water, his thanks are not just in his words. It is in the way his shoulders relax, in the deep breath he takes of the fragrant steam, and in the profound, silent smile of a man who feels not like a stranger, but like an honored guest who has finally found exactly what he was looking for. The character of the cafe undergoes a subtle but profound shift as morning softens into a long, lazy afternoon. The urgent, forward-leaning energy of people on their way to somewhere else has completely evaporated. Now the space fills with a different purpose, lingering. The clatter of takeaway lids is gone, replaced almost entirely by the soft clink of porcelain as someone stirs a forgotten spoon. The light slants differently through the windows, pooling in warm, golden squares on the wooden floor, illuminating specks of dust dancing in the air. My role transforms with the atmosphere. I am no longer a conductor of a fast-paced symphony, but a careful custodian of quiet concentration. The students have arrived, their tables commandeered by fortresses of textbooks, laptops humming softly like digital hearths. In another corner, 2 friends lean in, their conversation a low, confidential murmur, punctuated by soft laughter. Near the window, a businessman has created an office, his neat row of pens and a single cold brew coffee standing guard over a spread of papers. I move through this landscape of focus with deliberate grace. My footsteps are lighter, my actions measured to preserve the peace. When I see a water glass half empty, I glide over with the chilled pitcher, refilling it with only the softest glug-glug of water, receiving a silent nod of thanks. Clearing a table is a study in stealth. the quiet gathering of cups, the gentle wipe of the cloth. I become a listener not to words, but to needs. The glancing look toward the empty coffee cup, the slight shift in a chair. I am there to replenish, refresh, and then retreat, a silent partner in their productivity or their private conversation. The dominant sounds now are the gentle, rhythmic puff, puff of the steam wand texturing milk for a late latte and the low, bubbling sigh of the large coffee decanter that keeps its promise of a bottomless cup. This steady, unhurried hustle is deeply satisfying. It is a service of presence without intrusion, of providing an invisible support that allows every person in the room to sink deeper into their own world, comforted by the knowledge that all they need is quietly being tended to.
Without fail, my favorite interlude arrives just as the afternoon sun begins to mellow, casting long, dramatic shadows across the floor. The door swings open with an enthusiastic push, and in tumbles a burst of uninhibited life. Brother Yusef, a regular, with his two young sons, Sammy and Adam, in tow. They are fresh from the park, their cheeks flushed with color, and their sneakers whispering traces of grass onto the clean tiles. The boys, perhaps 6 and 8, make a beeline straight for the gleaming pastry case, their small hands pressing against the glass as they gaze and wonder at the edible treasures within. "Khalid, my friends," Yusef says with a warm, tired but happy smile. "I think we have earned a treat." The boys' eyes are locked on the honey-drizzled baklava, its layers of phyllo pastry glittering. "Can we, Baba, please?" They chime in unison, their voices bright with hope. I lean down to their level. "A fine choice, young explorers," I say solemnly. "The baklava today is particularly victorious." This makes them giggle. I help Yusef carry their order to a sturdy table, a simple black coffee for him, 2 tall glasses of our freshly squeezed lemonade, clinking with ice and sprigs of mint, and a single plate with 2 pieces of baklava to share. The simple, joyful chatter that follows is the best soundtrack in the world. As Yusef blows on his coffee, watching them with tender eyes, the boys dive into an animated replay of their football match, complete with goal-scoring sound effects and debates over who was the fastest. "This is the best lemonade ever," Sammy declares, taking a huge gulp. Adam, with a flake of pastry on his chin, nods in fierce agreement. Watching them, the father savoring his 5 minutes of quiet warmth, the children lost in a world of sugar and sibling camaraderie, fills me with a pure, uncomplicated joy. This is not a transaction, it is a privilege. My cafe becomes more than a shop in these moments. It transforms into a backdrop for family, a stage for small, sweet memories in the making. It reminds me that my work, at its heart, is about providing a simple, wholesome space where life's ordinary, beautiful moments can unfold naturally, one shared pastry and one burst of childish laughter at a time. The final, lingering customer gathers their belongings, offers a parting wave, and steps out into the indigo evening. The brass bell gives one last soft ting that seems to hang in the suddenly still air. With a deep, contented breath, I begin the final, sacred ritual of the day, the winding down. The cafe, now bathed in the warm, low glow of the pendant lights, feels like a stage after a wonderful play, holding the echo of every line spoken. My closing tasks are a reverse of my morning meditation, a methodical returning of the space to a state of quiet readiness. I move from table to table, collecting the final cups. On one, I find a forgotten novel, its spine cracked open to the last page read. I place it carefully behind the counter, a silent promise to its owner. The great espresso machine, my steadfast companion through the day, receives my fullest attention. I purge the steam wands with a loud final hiss, backflush the group heads until the water runs clear, and polish its stainless steel body until it becomes a perfect dark mirror reflecting the empty room. Next, I empty the hoppers of their fragrant beans and wipe down the grinders, their interiors bearing the fine, dusty perfume of 100 cups. The glass pastry case, now nearly bare, is cleaned until it sparkles. Finally, I take the broom. Its soft bristles whisper across the tiles, gathering the day's physical memories: a stray sugar crystal glittering like a tiny diamond, a single coffee bean that made a great escape, the delicate, crumbled ghost of a pistachio baklava. As I sweep it all into the pan, I feel the honest, deep-seated fatigue of good work in my arms and my smile-worn cheeks. Turning off the main lights, I'm left with just the soft security glow above the door. The room is now a landscape of gentle shadows and quiet. I lock the door, the solid thud of the deadbolt, a final satisfying period at the end of the day's long story. Walking home, the cool night air is a balm. I carry with me no physical burden, only the intangible rewards, the memory of a relieved smile, the echo of a child's laughter, and the grateful nod of a familiar face. There is a profound peace in this simple cycle of preparation, service, and rest. I served coffee, yes, but more than that, I tended to a small corner of my community, offering a moment of peace in a porcelain cup, one quiet connection at a time.